Raizin the Roof, presented by the Central Indiana Realtist Association, a local chapter of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Our mission is to build wealth through home ownership by enhancing economic development. We accomplish this goal by informing, advocating, and educating in the communities we serve. And now, Raizin the Roof.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Dolores Kennedy, and welcome to Raising the Roof. Raising the Roof is a talk show about home ownership. We're here to bring you both local and national real estate information. Our organization is the Central Indiana Realtist Association. We're a local chapter of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is the largest minority trade organization in the United States. We're glad you're joined us today. You're here joining us today. The mission of CIRA is to inform, enlighten, advocate, and educate through our initiatives. We promote building wealth through home ownership. Let's introduce our panel for today. We have Ms. Priscilla Russell.
I'm Priscilla Russell with United Real Estate. I've been an agent here in Indianapolis for over 30 years. I enjoy this business, and I'm so glad that we have a show that talks about home ownership and increasing those numbers.
And we have
Karen Kelly with Fathom Realty. I've been a real estate agent for over 14 years. Glad to be on the panel today discussing home ownership and how we can help people build wealth through home ownership.
And I am Dolores Kennedy, as I said earlier. We're here. We are a team of real estate professionals here in the Indy area. We're here to serve you with information you can use. During the show, you'll hear us refer to NAREB or CIRA, and those are acronyms for the National Association of Real Estate Brokers and the Central Indiana Realtist Association. And today, our guest, we have Pastor Douglas Tate. He is the pastor of Psalms Baptist Church here in Indianapolis. Pastor Tate, I'm so sorry. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm honored to be here today with this amazing panel that will discuss home ownership and financial advocacy. I am Douglas Tate Jr., and I'm the lead pastor of the Psalms Church for 20 years this week.
Okay.
And I'm also 40 years I've been a homeowner.
Okay.
And so I'm also a proprietor of Tate's Place Indy, a local business here in the Hallville community, where we try to provide business space for other local businesses. And that business is almost 60 years old, started by my dad. So I'm honored to be here and just wanted to share my experience as a young homeowner, then middle-aged homeowner now, and just any way I can motivate and encourage young people to make the most important investment, and that is to purchasing property or in home ownership.
Pastor Tate, we've had some conversations, and I would say that you are an advocate for home ownership. Because you talk to your people, your congregants concerning home ownership and not renting. And tell me what was it that made you come to that decision that you wanted to talk to people concerning home ownership? What was it that brought you to that?
Well, being a pastor, you pastor the whole person, not just the spiritual person, but you try to be an advisor or a leader in area of finance and financial investments to the best of our ability, and to make sure that their whole life is well-rounded. And so when you pastor young people and you often hear them speak about getting new apartments and buying new cars and making these types of investments or spending their money in these manners, sometimes you wonder when will they come to the place of wanting to own a home. And many times that is off the radar for a lot of our young people. And so being a young person, when I first owned my home, I knew how important it was and how significant it was for me in my early life as a person, as a business person, and as a resident of the city of Indianapolis to be able to own my home at such a young age. It really laid a foundation in me. It raised my confidence. It was certainly one of the greatest investments I ever made. And it just enriched my whole life as a young homeowner. And so I'd like to tell young people that if you have a parent or someone that is investing in you through advice or words of encouragement, please listen to them is what I always try to tell them, because sometimes we dismiss what older people are saying to us as young people because we have our own plans and own ideals. But that is an honor, and certainly it is very fortunate for a young person to have somebody in their life, in their ear, speaking to them along those lines of spending their money in a more solid, more productive way, more sure way, and that would be in home ownership versus buying cars or renting apartments. That's the American dream. The American dream, in my mind, in my opinion, the number one American dream is to be a home owner. And I discovered early in my leadership that a lot of our young people never had that on their list, their dream list to own a home. And so I just tried my best to help them envision that and encourage them along those lines.
Pastor Tate, when is a good time to start drilling that in our young people? Is it ever too early to start drilling it into them?
No, I think that as early as possible, when they start becoming conscious of their future, of what they want to become professionally, how much money they want to make. I think as soon as possible, we can't start too early with educating our young people on the essentiality of wanting to be a home owner. My dad was always a homeowner. I was raised up in a home. And so that's all I knew as a child. We never lived in apartments. And so unfortunately, a lot of children anymore, they're raised up in apartments. So, and so they may not ever realize the importance of living in an independent residency. And so as soon as we can teach them that from the church perspective, from the community, from family, from segments like this is the better, because we're so far behind that we can't start too early to bring and to help our young people catch up with the American dream.
Well, this is Priscilla Russell, and I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
You talked about you always lived in a home. I understand. I'm from the country, and that's down in Arkansas. I didn't know people lived in apartments. When I moved up here and my husband took me to an apartment, I went, where are we going? Where's the house and all that?
Right.
But my question is, how old were you when you bought your first home?
Well, I was 20. I was 20 years of age, and I had come home from college, and I was working in my family business along with my dad. We're barbers by profession. And I had bought me an apartment downtown, and I thought I was big time, because I had an apartment downtown on Washington Street, overlooking Washington Street. I had a 6 months lease. And then I graduated from that apartment to a place out on 38th Street, West 38th Street was my second apartment. And I thought I had it going on. And my dad pulled me aside one day and he said, you'll never buy that apartment complex. And my father didn't repeat himself too much. Once he said something, that was about it. I mean, he didn't come back 2 or 3 times and say over and over again. So when he spoke, you had to hear it, receive it, listen to it, and then apply it. So I heard that. And so one day we were there cutting hair, and a longtime customer of his was in his chair, and he was telling my dad he would like to get rid of or sell a piece of property that was here in the community that no one in his family wanted, and that he was just looking for someone he could sell it to. Well, my ears went up because I remember what my dad was saying. I knew the place that he was talking about. So long story short, I heard it, and Mr. Mooney sold me my first home in 1980. I was 20 years of age, and been here, and it's been my only home. It was a fixer-upper then, but I didn't plan on staying here 40 years, but we started having children after I got married. We had children, we added on to it, we borrowed on it twice, and got it paid off, and so it's just been home for 40 years for me.
So you have when he told you about that he had this property that he wanted, you didn't think twice about it. You just said, "Can I get that?"
Yes. Well, I had a bit of advantage because I knew him personally.
Okay.
And I knew the property that he was speaking about was his parents' property,
Okay.
which I grew up across the street from the particular house and property sits on 4 lots. And when I was a child, the house was the most fabulous, well-kept house in the community.
Okay,
And
Pastor
at the
Tate,
time he spoke of it.
Pastor Tate, we're
Yes.
going to take a break, and we will be right back, and we want you to finish your story about your home that you've been
Okay.
in for 40 years. We'll be
All right,
right
thank
back.
Hello, my name is Sherry Boudwin. I'm a home lending officer with First Merchants Bank. I'm so excited to be partnering with Central Indiana Realtors Association in regards to increasing home ownership in the Indianapolis and surrounding areas. First Merchants Bank has an awesome no money down program and no private mortgage insurance. Essentially, it can be a 100% financing program. Give me a call. My name is Sherry Boudwin. I'd love to be able to help you. 317-566-6123.
And we're back. Thank you, Pastor Tate, for joining us. And when we went on the break, you were telling us about the first home that you bought. Go on with that story.
So I had an advantage on my home as far as me having the presence of mind of wanting to buy it because I had admired it as a child. And as I was stating, it was one of the most well-kept homes in the community when I was a child. And so at the time I was having the opportunity to purchase it, it was boarded up. It had been boarded up for several years. And the current homeowner hadn't put any work into it. In fact, he was just trying to unload it. And so it was just a perfect situation for me. I was single, no children. And so today we have a whole lot of television programs where you have home fixer-upper programs and buy this little property and flip it and all those type of things. Well, back then we didn't have that, but my dad was that type of guy. He would fix up homes and we'd move in them. So I saw the potential of the property and the house. And so I jumped right on it. I was excited about it. I jumped right on it. Mr. Mooney was pleased that I was interested, and we sat down. Now we did it on contract. I don't know if that's still possible nowadays. We did I bought it on contract for $8,500, and
Wow.
And I think I gave him something like $135 a month for about 3.5 years until I paid it off. My friends kind of laughed at me. My peers, they said, "Man, what'd you buy that old raggedy house for?" And they was at home with their parents. They was living with friends and apartments. And So that's the mindset that many of us had then, and unfortunately, it's the same today. They just don't have vision. They don't see the potential in property unless it's a ready-made dream house.
You know,
And
one of
so I
the
just believe that the American dream starts within,
Yes.
and you can make your dreams come true if you have that type of inner ambition.
one of the mantras that we profess is the house before the house before the house then the car, because what we're wanting the young people, and not only young people, because it's people my age and above and down, you know, they would rather get that nice car rather than thinking about purchasing their own home, and just continue to rent. And what we want people to understand is there is wealth to be built in home ownership. Now, while they were laughing at you back in the day when you were fixing up your own home, most of them probably, I don't know, but probably were living at home with their parents and or you're couch surfing. We call it couch surfing now. I don't know what we called it back then. I can't remember. But now you have an asset, and you said that you have borrowed on your home twice. And so that lets you know that's wealth that you've been building in your home. Karen, you had a question for us?
You know, you mentioned earlier Tate's Place, Indy. I just kind of was curious as to what that is.
Well, Tate's Place Indy historically is Tate's Barbershop.
Okay.
And Tate's Barbershop is the oldest minority business west of the river or west of downtown Indianapolis now.
Oh, okay.
My dad started it in 1964, and then we moved to our current location in 1970. So my dad has early dementia, and he asked me right before COVID if I would come back, because I had retired from barbering for about 4 years to go in full-time pastoring. And he asked me, would I come back, would I consider coming back and not only managing it, but being the sole proprietor of the property. Well, the physical building is in need of repair. It is commercial and residential property, sits on two parcels on West 10th Street. And so we renamed it to Tate's Place Indy because we envisioned renovating the property and making business space for West Side tutoring, where we can tutor some of our students that are falling through the cracks, especially during COVID. And then we wanted to open up a 10th Street cafe and wanted to also provide other business spaces for offices and things of that nature. But Tate's Barbershop is currently the only business that is functioning under Tate's Place Indy. So we hope that in the future we can get some resources, some investors to help us, come alongside us to help us with our vision to renovate the property and to make it viable and impact the community for another couple of decades.
That is wonderful, Pastor Tate. You started with vision as a 20-year-old, and I see you still continue to have that vision, building wealth, building home ownership, and just building a life, building the American dream. So it's great to see that you keep that vision and then keep the community going with that type of thing. So I wish you well, and I hope things work out and we get some more businesses into Tate's Place.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pastor Tate, we were talking about building wealth through home ownership, and I pulled up some statistics based on home ownership among minorities today. In 1934, the home ownership rate was 23.5. That's in 1934. Today, the fourth quarter of 2020, the home ownership rate is 40.6.
Wow.
It hasn't gone very far.
No.
That's why we need people like you to push that home ownership, building wealth through home ownership, because we've got to do it in order to have a future for our children. And not, and as in our last session, I was talking to someone, and I said that a girlfriend of mine, her father had told her when she was growing up, never purchase a home. Always go in an apartment, because what you don't have to worry about is when there's a leak, you don't have to worry about fixing that yourself. You can call maintenance and have maintenance fix it. Or if something goes wrong, you don't have to worry about that. And that's the mindset that a lot of people have. And we have to get them out of that mindset where, you know what, it's all right for somebody else to do it, but it's not for me. And how do you propose that others, we know that you're being an advocate for it, but how do you propose that everyday people, talk to others about home ownership?
Well, the late Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, the past president, one of the former president of Morehouse University, like Morehouse College, he made the statement many years ago. He was a great educator, as you all perhaps know. He said that this generation, and this was probably 3 decades ago, he said this generation is guilty of the sin of low aim. And he said what he meant by that was our aim is too low, our ambition is too low, our confidence is too low, our expectations are too low as a people. And he was talking to college students. And then, of course, he shared it with the public at large. And I think that that's the same rut, or unfortunately, mindset that our community is stuck in today. The sin of low aim. We just don't see ourselves being homeowners. So to answer your question, how can we as individuals, we need to talk it up, talk it up, talk it up. We need to be about it. We need to have more forums in our churches, in our communities. Whenever we have young people gathering, as you said, Mr. Kennedy, it's not just young people, it's middle-aged people and even seniors that still have that mindset to have as less responsibility as possible. Even when it comes to just fixing a leak, let somebody else fix it, it's not mine. And that's the renter's mentality. Mm-hmm. And that's why even when we're renting, we don't take on responsibility, too often accountability, because it's somebody else's property. Mm-hmm. And so we just sometimes, unfortunately, treat it any kind of way. But if we can continue to push and advocate for home ownership, for personal investments, and to be that person that will go beyond the call and spend that money that you was getting ready to do, that stimulus check, when you was going to get that new car, but rather spend that stimulus check on a down payment or an investment in some property. Now, I'm proud to say that I have 2 daughters and 2 sons. My oldest daughter, Tamara, I was telling her about you, Miss Kennedy, and your colleague, Miss Wilkerson. Mm-hmm. And I was getting her to listen to your program about a year ago. Well, she has now purchased her own condominium. Mm-hmm. She's been in it for a year now. Mm-hmm. And she's a single person, no children. And I just asked her the other night, I said, how do you feel about being a homeowner now? And she just started beaming, Mm-hmm. She said that it is a responsibility, but I love it because it's mine and it's no longer I'm renting. And I remember you telling me, I told her what my dad told me, you'll never buy off that apartment complex. You need to buy your own home. Mm-hmm. Now, my second daughter, Lillian, and her husband, AJ, are out in California. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole different subject out there.
Right.
Home ownership out there they're making pretty good money. But 2, I'm trying to encourage them that as soon as you have opportunity, you need to start trying to purchase you a home so that you can raise your family in a home and not in an apartment. Now, my 2 sons, one is married, but one isn't, and they're both considering homeownership. They're both talking about their credit. My youngest son, Jonathan, I just spoke with him, and he said, "Dad, he's been an athlete so long, he never really thought about building up credit, and so I don't think he listened to me as much as I listened to my dad. But he's a good guy, and he's concerned about his credit. So he'll be calling you guys because I know you all have those forms to help build credit and things of that nature, as well as my oldest son as well. He's 40 now, and he's married with children, and they're in an apartment.
We will be looking for that call from him so that we can help him with his home ownership. We thank you, Pastor Tate, for joining us, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for having me.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Taylor, Home Lending Officer with First Merchants Bank, and we are thrilled to partner with the Central Indiana Realtist Association to help increase homeownership in the Indianapolis and surrounding areas. First Merchants Bank has a fantastic program that requires no down payment, includes a $7,500 grant depending on where you're purchasing, and has a minimum credit score requirement of 600. If you're ready to begin your homeownership journey, please contact me at 317-566-7611.
We had Pastor Tate on with us this morning, and Pastor Tate is the pastor of Psalms Baptist Church. He said some profound things about home ownership and his start in home ownership and how his father had taught him concerning home ownership. And what I want to let everyone know, we as CIRA, Central Indiana Realtist Association, we offer homebuyer seminars. So if any churches out there are interested in us coming out to your churches and performing a homebuyer seminar, we would love to come out and do it. Our mission is promoting homeownership, building wealth in our communities, building our homeownership rate. Ladies, we had a good show today.
We had a great show.
We had a great show today.
Pastor Tate really shared some great information. I mean, I like his comment about building the American dream. Home ownership is the American dream, and I think we lose sight of that a lot of times. So I appreciate that he said that. Yeah.
Okay. And Miss Priscilla?
Well, I just want to thank you for letting me know that 20-year-olds still are thinking about purchasing homes. So I just want to thank you for that.
We are grateful. We will see you next time to see Raising the Roof.
Raizin the Roof.